Hello. Okay. Hey, hi, hello. I was mostly just fiddling around trying to make sure that I had a thumbnail. And things were loading slowly. Fun stuff. Hello. I'm gonna start song request now. Okay. That is my survival world. I don't know how well it's gonna do. But right now I'm playing, you know, with creative mode and stuff like that because I am technically an alpha, so I want to make sure that I have all the stuff that I want / need to go through progression and everything. So that's how it goes. Do immediate respawn. Just really quickly. I'm gonna turn on keep inventory because that's helpful to me. Destructive mob actions. Oh yeah, mob briefing. Don't bother with phantoms, please. Leave the rest on. Some stuff happens because of all the other stuff, I think. So, yeah, do that. Right. World. Name of this will be, I had an idea for what to call this. I don't know what I'm actually gonna call the colony. Because I have the Caledonia build style in mind. I found it out and I'm like, ooh, I think this also would really look good with the sort of like landform that I want to play around with. So that's another reason to be in creative, so that I can play around with the landforms. But there's actually some other stuff with like the create mod that allow you to do some like world edit type stuff. It's really cool. I'll show that off in a moment. But yeah, I'll create the world and then I'll go on the spiel. Series world. I'll just call it series world for now. Default, large biome, single biome, caves, floating islands, realistic. Do I want to go with a realistic world type? That's the Quark world type. I know it's going to be slower. Right now I have Project Vibrant Journeys turned on. Realistic large biomes. I think I'm gonna go with realistic. Because, like, one of the reasons for having Quark is so that you can have the realistic world type if you want it. Although Project Vibrant Journeys does do some stuff to improve the world before you add realistic world gen. Alright. Toss up. Do I have a coin to flip? I do. I thought I did. Alright. Head's realistic, tail's normal. Oh. It just fell behind my computer tower. This is why you don't put coins in close spaces like this. It's kind of dumb. Randomly. Oh, wait. It landed on one of its faces, and it is tails up. Oop, I bought my mic again. Well, I guess that means that I'm playing with vanilla terrain gen? Oh god. Alright. I really wanted to play with realistic, now that I remember that it's a thing. Okay, so you know what? Actually, I am going to play with realistic. For the sake of doing testing, I'm going to play with realistic world gen. I realize that I need to be able to basically test both. That's one of the things that I've learned as a pack dev. You need to be able to, like, play test most of your world types. Otherwise, well, the basic world types. Amplified is always a hot mess whenever it comes to terrain gen in modern Minecraft. Like, you can never trust it. Large biomes, well, it's just large biomes. Single biome is not something you tend to want to deal with. Like, unless that's intended. But usually you use some other kind of like terrain generation mods to screw around with that. Anyways, let's do this. So, I was largely inspired to do specifically this, this mine colony, by two things. One, I recently rewatched the Artifixian video on coastlines, as well as the one on rivers. And like, I've been playing around with a lot of those ideas in my Foxbaird series, but I'm not able to do all of them, of course. That starts to be a little bit, well, you can't pack them all into one place. And also, I've already figured out what I want to have there. It's oceanic coast. It has actually a surprising number of really basic things in common with what I want to do here, but the landforms are still very solid. What I want to do here is a mixture of barrier islands and Dalmatian coast style things. And the Dalmatian coasts are very beautiful, but also have very interesting geography. So, oh, come on. Oh, God. Where in the world did I spawn? I forget. Do I have the village spawn point mod enabled? Or added? No, I do not. Okay, so that's just in the 117 pack that I've been fucking around with. Do note, sometimes I make mod packs that I don't show because they don't go anywhere. I'm actually kind of mad at the mod pack that I made in 117. Oh god. What is this? This is documentation for Ars Nouveau. Okay. So I added Ars Nouveau into this pack as well as Create. Oh, it's not a normal village. It's a dead one. Oh, that's just great. You know what? Interesting. This adds an origin story to this. Origin story time. The land has been ravaged by zombies, and now we seek to form new colonies, new villages away from the zombified ruins that we face. Good God. Like, just, oh boy, okay. Ooh, trees. Oh yeah, cascading archwood. It's the pretty trees. So, I need to find some hilly terrain by the sea. And like more hilly than what I have in Foxbaird. Like not just the one hill, preferably. Like multiple hills, please. You know. So yeah, I was watching that artifacting video and I thought, this would be a really pretty landform, but that doesn't match the coast type that I've basically decided for the Foxbird Kingdom to have. I could go and try and like build it out somewhere else in the world, but that's so far away in time, and I can do another project where I actually do integrate that into the idea. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that here. And then I discovered that Caledonia build style for the Minecolonies mod, and I thought, that could actually work with that really nicely. So that's where I'm at with this. As well, I've been trying to make a proper sequel to Build-a-Ville for a while. I personally really like the Minecolonies mod. I've just kind of toyed around with it since I last was like developing the original Build-a-Ville. So now I'm just kind of where I'm at in regards to development, mostly due to the development of the Minecolonies mod and all the other mods that I want to play with in addition to the Minecolonies mod. So what on earth is this area like? This is something for sure. Hilly, flat, okay. Hilly or like plateau mountains, which actually do work really well for the start of Dalmatian coast. And this seems to be ocean. Yes, it is ocean. Ocean and stone shore. Okay. I have a number of like ambience mods, stuff designed for like utility, for decoration and building. Again, this mod pack is the successor to Build-a-Ville. So Build-a-Ville's idea was basically, it's a Minecolonies plus pack. You get some cool tool sets, you get some light tech if I'm not mistaken, or did I add any tech at all? I forget if I did add any tech now that I think about it. I don't know if I did. I don't believe I did. But yes, the tech that I added for it, if I did add any, now that I actually think about it, it was so minimal that like it is a non sequitur. Like I wasn't really focusing on any specific category other than decoration, and that worked to both the benefit and the detriment of the pack, especially once I actually really dived into this meat of the pack and actually tried to play it. I got bored and decided just to do Minecolonies stuff. And because I had so little stuff for like basic automation and just stuff for like supporting myself and my colonists, especially at first, in the early days before I really got into the depth of having the Minecolonists do stuff for themselves, I was to the point where I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go into creative mode and just let them build, because that's my favorite part of Minecolonies, just seeing all the structures that get built. And I leveled out a bunch of planes, I built a couple bridges, like, all in all, that colony was very, very flat, and it was a start. So I've kind of gone through a learning curve in terms of what I want to do for both my Minecolonies and also the Minecolonies packs that I'm building. So the second one that I built was in 1.15? Okay, hold on. Pausing. That's Build-a-Ville 112. Was it Cutting Edge 115 actually that I had it in? Blah, 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 blah. I did, yes. Okay, so the cutting edge mod pack was actually a idea that it was tossing around, or like an idea name, a little bit of a joke. Although in part it was because of the fact that the first time that I did cutting edge, it was just like immediately when 1.15 mods were releasing. So it was just at the cutting edge, right before 1.16 was gonna be out, and like, just great. Anyways, I played with Minecolonies in that for a while, and I didn't really do too much. It's actually been just about a year since I played that that pack. Like, genuinely, I don't play that pack anymore. But I did find some interesting things when I was actually playing with that. For one, I do like adding some interesting stuff like tech and a little bit of magic, like I usually do with a lot of my mod packs. I tend to add just a little bit of each, if not a whole lot of each. I've learned to dial it down, especially lately. Like giving you really specific little focuses and utilities so that things feel somewhat cohesive and like there's actually kind of a catered or like a well thought out feel. It's less big magic, big tech, and more this works in such a way that it thematically blends and like contextually blends, so things don't feel too out of place. I tend to do that nowadays in mod packs, and I think that has definitely improved my mod selection greatly. So, yeah, I really like playing with things that mesh well together. I've kind of always loved that. It's just I haven't really figured out how to do that until recently. So, you know, learning curves, things to look out for if you want to go into building your own mod packs, for yourself or for others or for both. I mean, I release my mod packs that I make mostly because I enjoy them and I think other people might enjoy them. It's a tailored mod experience, basically. I give you something that is like sort of pre-designed with some degree of balance or unbalance, intentional. It is built as intended. Like, sure, you can do some crazy shit, but that's basically every mod pack, unless there's something weird going on, or some specific, like, curtailment of your power put in place. So that's kind of where it is. And with this Minecolonies Plus pack, well, it's not Minecolonies Plus, it's Build-Your-Ville. Like, you can do it with Minecolonies, or you can choose not to. Which, incidentally, really just brings to light that that dead village we just saw earlier. So yeah, the idea behind this is you can really build your own beautiful custom village with decorative mods, with custom like block varieties. I really like the macaws mods, so I'm trying to keep those in here. Oh, that's weird. Why is this carrying over between worlds? Well, I have Project E in here. I personally like having Project E just because you can quickly switch between things like wood types, and you can do, or stone types. You can change colors of things. You can grab out copies of banners. Yes, it can be really overpowered, but also you don't need to go that far with it to have just everything you need and it not feel that overdone. This is something I've carried over from the 1.15 version. Additionally, waystones, holy moly. Sharestone. Warp plate, port stone, cannot be teleported to. Okay, so waystones has expanded? Interesting. So it used to mostly just be a waystone, the warp stone, and the warp scrolls. But it looks like it's expanded in terms of these share stones, warp dust, attuned shard. This is new. Gonna make it daytime. So yeah, anyways. Warp stones, also another thing that I decided I'm gonna carry over. Of course, there's a map mod. Of course, there's JEI. I'm gonna actually really quick go over the mod list that I have now, because this may change. Do note, it's mostly alphabetical, save for one. Structurized, because CurseForge likes to bring mods that need an update, or have available updates to the top. But the structurized version that I need to use is not the most current, because structurized is ahead of Minecolonies. One is dependent on the other, and maybe using an outdated version. Just so that you're aware in the case of some things that go wrong if you're playing with your own Minecolonies. Anyways, Abnormal's Core, Absent by Design, Appleskin, Architecture API for Forge, Ars Nouveau, Auto Live, Bad Weather No Cookie, Better Than Mending, Better End, Building Gadgets, Fuzzier Bees, Callus API Carry-On, Chisels and Bits, Cloth Config API for Forge, Clumps, Comforts, Controlling, Corel Tombstone, Create, Curio of Undying, Curios API, Curious Elytra, Cyclic, Decorative Blocks, Dimensional Paintings, Ding, Dynamic Surroundings, Extra Storage, Fast Leaf Decay Flywheel, Gauges and Switches, Geckolib, Hyla, Journey Map, Just Enough Items, Just Enough Resources, Clee Slabs, Light Overlay, Macaw's Bridges, Macaw's Doors, Macaw's Fences and Walls, Macaw's Furniture, Macaw's Roofs, Macaw's Trapdoors, Macaw's Windows. Can you tell that I have basically all of the Macaw's mods, except for Macaw's Paintings? I have a different paintings mod. Sorry, Macaw. Mahotsukai, MGUI, Minecolonies, of course, mod name tooltip, which outside of, well, actually, I think there's a mod name tooltip as part of this version of JEI, but I could be wrong. However, I don't know what mod other than mod name tooltip is adding it. I really should disable it, but I keep forgetting to. Mouse tweaks, Nature's Compass, Neat, Open Blocks Elevator, or Excavation, Paintings Plus Plus. That's the additional one that I have, and I usually go with Paintings Plus Plus because you can add your own stuff. So, you know, fun stuff. Patchouli, Placebo, Polymorph for Forge, Project Vibrant Journeys. I think I mentioned that earlier at the top. It basically is it's a mod that improves the world. It gives you some more immersive stuff, some things that land on the ground, and cool stuff. There's a lot of, I go for a lot of ambience in mods, a lot of ambience and utilities, just to make sure that, one, it's playable, two, it looks pretty. And seeing as this is a building mod pack, and, you know, the world is only so good. So that's why I add Project Vibrant Journeys. Project E, as I've already shown. Quark, some people don't like quark. I personally like it. You can turn off what you don't like. I tend to just leave quark as is, with very few tweaks depending on the mod pack and like other things that other mods do that it may or may not interfere with somehow. I do have quark oddities installed so that you get a little bit more mod interaction and stuff like that. Refined storage add-ons, and refined storage requestify. Tech doesn't go very far in this pack, but there is like refined storage for your personal usage. Shut up experimental settings, because experimental settings are annoying. The sit mod allows you to sit on stairs and slabs. Solar Flux Reborn for power. Storage drawers, again, primarily for your purposes. It basically just gives you a way to store stuff that won't get potentially picked up by like couriers or whatever. Swing Through Grass, Tetra for your tool mod. This one's different than Tinker's Construct, which I used to use in the original Build-a-Ville. Now I personally really like Tetra. I also, Tinker's Construct is a classic for a reason. I also really love Silence Gems, but I don't like their new repair system. I don't know. I really like Tetra and the way that it looks. Tetra is great. Tip the Scales, Toast Control, Tool Belt, Torch Slabs mod, Torch Master. This one is very up in the air for me. Unsure of whether or not I should have players actually deal with their mobs or have like spawn-proofed areas that normal hostile mobs cannot spawn in, and only deal with like patrols and raid parties from Minecraft, you know, like pillager patrols, and then the raids from Minecolonies. And I forget if the if pillager patrols also can spawn a raid if you're within your mine colony. I don't know if those work like a village, but anyways, your vanilla villages do still have pillagers, of course, so Torchmaster does not prevent those, if I'm not mistaken. It might stop patrols within its area, but it almost certainly will not, you know, prevent a raid from spawning. So, anyways, trash slot, U-Team core, uppers, useful backpacks, and waystones. That is the current list of mods. It is 83 right now. It may or may not expand or contract. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles at the moment. So, the whole thing with this mod pack and mod list is to kind of just give you mine colonies or villages if you want to play with normal vanilla Minecraft villages. I mostly prefer to play with mine colonies, but I realize that not everyone loves that. So of course you can play with villagers, and I do need to get more like normal vanilla village stuff, I guess, for you to be able to play around with those more. The whole idea is to build, you know, build your ville, and you get to build and design, like curate the buildings. You can curate the land theoretically. You can pretty much build as you want, and when it comes to mine colonies, the builder and the way that the mine colony structures work, they're pretty and they're nice, and you can try and use it as like a kind of building challenge to put together some styles or list of styles for the areas around the entire like pre-designed build and like work around that. Or you can customize them, especially once they're at tier 5. That way you don't have to worry about them like breaking down all of the customizations that you put in place. You just have to make sure that you don't remove any functional blocks. That would be like crafting tables, furnaces, effectively villager workstation type stuff. again, crafting tables, furnaces, beds, preferably not doors. They're weird about pathfinding, so don't break doors. They actually tend to freak out a little bit. And I think that sometimes will trigger that it thinks that the building is broken and needs to be quote-unquote repaired by the builder. So avoid breaking doors. What was I thinking? Did I already mention beds? I think I did. Oh yeah, and then of course like the main, like the building block. The block for the building that you use to interact with and to do all your management and utilities and stuff. Those are the things that you can't break in Minecolonies buildings, but you can break basically anything else and completely replace it. Once the building is at, well, I guess not all buildings go to tier 5. I was literally just in my survival playtest world, and I just built a tavern block, and those only go up to level 3. So, yeah, that's just an example. At least I think they only go up to level 3. The Caledonia build style only allowed it to go up to level 3, but anyways. Create. The Creative World Shaper. Here's controls. Shift for summary, a handy tool for creating landscapes and terrain features. Wand of Symmetry, perfectly mirrors block placement across configured planes. Extendo grip, tree fertilizer, engineer's goggles, and I'm gonna grab a wrench. I'm also gonna grab the Creative World Shaper. Left click on a block, sets blocks placed by the tool to the targeted block. Right click a block, applies the currently selected brush and tool to the targeted location. Right click when sneaking, open the configuration space. Alright. Cuboid, sphere, cylinder, surface, cluster. Okay, so I want a cylinder. Place. Solid. 5, 5. I think I'm gonna want to do it with, let's say, stone. Ooh, I like that sound. Alright. Okay, so, for those who aren't nerdy like me, or don't take a ton of time to appreciate coastal landforms, I'm gonna try and discover more of this terrain real fast. Just because I want to do a lot of sculpting. This is definitely gonna be something interesting for sure. I don't know what I'm gonna do about the swamp. It's just gonna be here. But for the unacquainted, the Dalmatian coast is basically, if I'm remembering the Artifactsian video correctly, which obviously I totally fucking am. I'm not absolutely going to encourage you to go watch it on your own, if you actually want like as accurate details as possible, and also to learn more about various landforms that you can use and apply to your own building projects, and also fantasy world building and stuff. It's fun. The coastline type that I'm planning on using is essentially what happens when you have various densities of rock next to a coastline that is eroding into it. So what you get is basically right. Let's actually take the example that exists here. So let's say that this and this are made of more or less the same types of rock. You follow? All right. There is theoretically a type of rock that was between these when they were like when this bit of ocean hadn't yet gone in and eroded the coast yet. So that rock that left this behind, that got cleared away here and left this behind, was softer in order for it to have been eroded away faster than this. This is a denser type of rock. So what happens when you have bands or like areas just of softer and less dense or more susceptible to erosion varieties of rock, and bands of really hard, dense, more resistant to erosion varieties of rock, those tend to produce bands of islands. There is no undo function for this, by the way. Just gonna preface that. This is gonna be a little bit of a mess. However, they produce interesting landforms, to say the least. Essentially what you get are bands of islands with breaks in the middle of them. And like stretches of water between the islands and the mainland. And you can get this like multiple layers deep. So I think I've already mentioned this, but the Dalmatian coast is like the perfect prime example, if I can speak words, the perfect prime example of this in action. And like it looks very pretty. Like the Dalmatian coast is just incredible looking. It also looks incredibly interesting on a map. So had to cough. Did not mute my microphone. Should have. Anyways, so you get like this sort of pattern action. You get a break, and then you get the fog's rolling in because it's morning. Come on. It doesn't fully matter what it looks like underneath the water, just gonna say. But, yeah. Especially because I need to do a lot of, like, smoothing and sculpting and shaping. But yeah, you get these interesting looking shapes, and they get, like, bands of islands and then separations of, like, coasts, and sometimes there's cave-ins, I guess, of cliffs that have been eroded by the sea into some sort of back area. What they start out as is effectively like a small bay, and if there's like a cave-in or some sort of like change in the ocean or something, it can become a lagoon, or it can keep eroding the soft rock behind the hard rock in front, and you eventually get like a whole wide band, and these can eventually connect to form these like islands. They aren't barrier islands. Barrier islands are what happens when you get some sort of like a coral area buildup. I think that's what happens. And also like deposit builds up from sediment. It's like sediment and coral, if I'm not mistaken. And then it just like forms a long sort of barrier in front of the coast. I think Fire Island is the example artifact scene used for that. Yeah. So, basically, coastal landforms with just long stripes of island, broken up sort of from the coast and from each other, forms these sorts of islands, but I don't remember their structure name. All right. Journey map hasn't fully properly updated this. Oh, come on. How many layers deep do I want to do this? Inches. Alright. And do keep in mind that they don't have to be like perfectly straight lines. In fact, they usually aren't. They tend to be a little bit blobby because as much as the layers of rock that form them tend to average to be straight lines on a really broad map scale, up close, and especially on like smaller islands, they super are not even. So yeah, there's just going to be all kinds of fun variety to be had in this sort of landform, as far as I'm aware. Again, go watch the Artifact Scene video. He goes into much better detail than I ever could. I'm just a Minecrafter. I play with mod packs and code, not spreadsheets and whatever the hell YouTube Edgar here does. And of course, do note where like some landforms types will merge or like run into each other, I guess you could say. Like especially when some old structures exist and then they're like partially weathered down. But then new structures start being built, or, you know, are being, yeah, new structures are being built or weathered in, just by new processes that are just starting to happen. No, excuse me. That's something I kind of had to realize, like, oh, yeah, that's, of course that would happen. Like, of course things run into each other. I think that's something that is, like, provided in the Artifexian video, even. Like, there's some example somewhere in it that goes over how, certain types of, processes can like overlap and produce interesting new landform types. Anyways. This is producing some interesting shapes, to say the least. Oh, whoa, what's these shapes? Oh dear. Of course I need to clear, or not clear, clean up the shapes. Oh god. And I don't believe Create has a nice tool for that. Just the Creative World Shaper, you know. Maybe I should have added World Edit. Maybe. Anyways. Oh, this is already looking really cool. So there's that little bit. I'm just gonna try and like build up a little bit of some like outskirt small islands that are just like clinging on, you know, barely have any landmass left, just at the edge here. Do note, of course, the way that the rock types like would interact doesn't have to be completely perfect. I mean, just again, look at the Dalmatian coast. That is literally how that forms, and it is on a very massive scale. This is on a tiny scale. This is just kind of how these islands form. A lot of the time, what you get is really well, the bigger they are, the smoother they are. And like the more hilly sort of terrain you tend to get, as opposed to whatever the hell I'm going to be building here, which is going to be a lot more like rocky pillars. Actually, now that I think about it, I think there's Kingdom in Game of Thrones. Well, is it a kingdom or something? It's something. That's like built on these like big pillars of stone in the middle of the, I don't know if it's a sea or something, but it's built in the middle of some body of water. So yeah, anyways, the bigger the landmass, the smoother it will have to be, because really small areas will be eroded away relatively quick, on top of the fact that when you have a smaller band of that really dense rock that gets left behind, it doesn't have as much time to form really nice smooth hills, except for that which is really far out. So the further out to sea it is, the smoother it will also be. That is my understanding, anyways. So I think we're gonna find one last little island here. One last little island and a peak. All right. I think this is a landform. Okay. Now I think I need to do a little bit of like, you know, smooth out over here too. Like produce a small like, you know, the worn down not atolls, those are actually the remains of coral reefs, come to find out. Yeah, what I'm thinking of are like stubs, little eroded stubs. I do believe that there was technically since these are just about the same sort of landform, Anyways, uh, what was it? So, all right. Coasts have a tendency to try and smooth themselves out. In areas that stick out, you have a process where the ocean will start by forming caves, which then eventually become arches, which have their their upper part collapse, and then it collapses fully. Then eventually the when it collapses fully, it just becomes like a whole like it becomes a little separate tower. And as far as I'm gonna be making all of these are gonna be separate. I'm not gonna be doing anything too fancy with like fancy arches and what have you. They're all too big and too separate, really, for that to work. Theoretically, maybe I could do something deeper in with the closest together islands, but I don't think I'm gonna try. Nah. Anyways. What was I thinking? Oh yeah, so the pillars eventually, nope, okay, so I was thinking of Tumbleau, but no, that's not what that is. I believe a Tumbleau is a still connected by land? Alright. Hold up. We need to watch the Artifacting video together, I guess. Hold on. What is that? Wilden Hunter. Oh wow, Ars Nouveau has expanded. I don't actually... With the fact that the Creative World Shaper doesn't have... You can shape, but you can't smooth. Alright, let me really quick look. Is World Edit available? Yes, it is. Alright. Here's a good excuse to go and watch the video. I'm gonna go and add World Edit to the pack. I don't have it normally because it's a building pack. It's encouraging you to do it in survival or in creative, so I guess I should add a creative resource. Alright. Install World Edit and also fucking finally remember to turn off mod name tooltip. Because we don't need it right now. I will still leave it installed just in case, for whatever reason, I wind up losing it. Yeah. I don't know why there are two tooltips on everything. It's just there. Anyways, alright, let's pause the music playing. Artifacting, coasts. Coastal landforms for fantasy mapping. Okie dokie. Studio mode. Blah 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 blah. Browser. let me quick do no, not properties. I need filters. Top, increase it to like 140 for the clip. 150. I just want to get rid of the bar and like, yeah. Okay. Switch over. For the most part, we're just going to be quick looking at the parts that I don't remember the names for things for. All right.
This video is brought to you by World Anvil. Good morning, interweb. Let's world build. Coasts vary dramatically in terms of topography and landforms. This makes them really difficult to classify. For now, let's be a little expedient and say that on our fantasy worlds, all coasts are either rocky coasts or sandy coastal plains. To mimic Earth-like conditions, most of our coastlines should alternate back and forth between these two types.
All right. Basics and stuff. Rocky coasts. So, okay, yeah.
Rocky coasts will dominate on active plate margins, near coastal mountain ranges, and in areas that were subject to recent Ice Age glaciation. Sandy coastal plains will dominate on passive margins and in areas of low relief. Overall, a naturalistic split here is about 80-20. The primary features of high relief erosional rocky coasts are cliffs and shore platforms. A cliff is a vertical or near vertical rock exposure. If the top of a cliff weathers and becomes rounded, we call it a bluff. Cliffs and bluffs may be punctuated by coves and gorges. Coves, small circular bays, form on concordant coasts. That is, coasts where bands of rock of varying resistance lie parallel to the shoreline. A small inlet is cut through the resistant rock and then a wider circular bay is carved out of the less resistant rock. This can be the sea's doing or a river's doing. Multiple coves can form in sequence, sometimes even merging together. Gorges, also known as geos or yawns.
So this is what I was talking about in terms of originally forming those things. Varying resistances of rock, like really soft rock with really hard rock, banned in various forms due to whatever form of magma is being expelled from the earth, or is just like being formed through tectonic processes, and you get coves like this at first. They can also multi-layer deep, as is shown eventually. Yes, here at the end. So let's actually finish watching the rocky
coves can form in sequence, sometimes even merging together. Gorges, also known as geos or yawns, occur when a strip of weaker rock running vertically through a cliff is eroded away by wave action. Shore platforms are platforms of rock extending out from a cliff base that are only visible at low tide. They can be horizontal or they can slope gently seaward. If no platform is visible at low tide, the cliff is a plunging cliff. Shore platforms are not smooth. They tend to be pockmarked with depressions and protrusions, scored with ridges and gullies, and dotted with rock pools and marine potholes, cylindrical bowl-shaped hollows. Platforms form when cliffs retreat. Wave action cuts a notch in a cliff overhangs, overhang becomes unstable, collapse, cliff retreats landward, rinse and repeat, and boom, we got ourselves a platform. Rocky coasts tend to start off with an irregular coastline, with headlands and embayments. Nature does not like this. It will seek to smooth things out by preferentially eroding away any headlands. Yeah. As they bite the dust, headlands leave behind some cool landforms. Wave action will carve sea caves into the side of headlands. These sea caves may have associated marine geysers or blowholes, that is, holes in the roof of a sea cave through which large fountains of sea spray can be ejected. If a blowhole grows too large, it may collapse, forming a sinkhole. The sea caves will eventually erode their way through the headland, forming a sea arch, which will then become unstable and collapse, forming a sea stack. The stack now protects the adjacent shore from the waves, so a buildup of sand/gravel can occur, slowly building out a tombolo, a narrow ridge of sediment linking the stack to the mainland. More on these later. Over time, the sea stack will erode to a sea stump and then eventually disappear. So, the evolution of a rocky coast is basically this. Finally, if the sea level rises and/or the land sinks, the coast is said to be submergent. If the sea level falls and/or the land is tectonically uplifted, a coast is said to be emergent. Emergent rocky coasts may feature extra high cliffs or uplift terraces. This is where old cliffs and platforms are lifted up out of the sea and new cliffs and platforms form. You can also get fun stuff like raised sea caves hanging out hundreds of meters above sea level. The major submergent rocky coast is the fjord coast, which we will talk about later. A lesser known submergent rocky coast is the Dalmatian coast. These coast types form when tectonic activity creates a series of folds running parallel to a coastline, a concordant coastline. Submergence occurs, the valleys are flooded, and a new coastline is formed. One where a bunch of rocky islands run parallel to the new shoreline. Croatia's Dalmatian coast is the prototypical example here, but it's also thought that the islands off Sumatra formed in a similar way.
Alright, so that's primarily what that was. The rest of the video, there's some good stuff about how coastal plains work, estuaries, organic coasts, with things like coral reefs and wetlands, just a little bit, and summaries, and then sponsorship. Yeah, so I'm not going to be playing with any of the rest of the stuff because this is rocky coasts we're playing with. So, yeah, fun stuff. Let's switch over. And turn off studio mode. Come on, Minecraft, finish loading the map, please. And also resume playing this stuff. Anyways, obvious credit to Artifactian for that lovely, lovely video. Edgar makes all kinds of great fun stuff. Useful for world building, useful for people just wanting to make an interesting map. He also does a good amount of stuff with conlangs, so go check it out. I do believe the last thing he did was tones. Yes, tones. So definitely cool. I have found some interesting uses out of basically everything that he's said. Especially because he tends to bring up how frequent certain kinds of features are in the world. So like, I'm running into, because I actually, so for in my writing, I need to I'm just vamping right now while things are fucking stuck loading at 100% still. While I need to make a interlang, or not an interlang, an international auxlang. The specifics are a little bit argued for in the conlang world, but an international auxlang, international auxiliary language. It is a constructed one intentionally in its world, so it is basically just meant to be a made-up language for people to use and just internationally, generally day to day, instead of some other existing people's language. we run into this problem a lot in our world, and I thought it would be cool if this fictional world actually went through with its goal of actually building a conlang for its people to use. Now, of course, I have to run into a few things. One, this world is not dominated... Well, it's not our world. It's not dominated by exactly the same kind of human we have in our world. They're a little bit different than us because they live on a super Earth. So their heights are a little bit shorter than ours. To a little... Well, yeah, they're a little bit shorter than ours on average. Well, not necessarily that much shorter. Like, the shortest of the short people don't tend to be that much shorter, but the shortest of the tall people relative to us are definitely shorter. Like, you might, in some places, see really tall people, regularly reaching 6.5 foot tall. You won't see that on this world. They will at most be about 6'2" instead. So you really tend to run into the obvious problem of, like, what's average height and what have you. But short people by our standards are a little bit more the norm there. And also, of course, because they live on, again, I call it a super Earth. It's basically a planet that's 1.4 times our planet size. So their gravity is decently higher. Their planet's, well, okay, it's 1.4-ish. It's like 1.38. I think I remember calculating it out to be. Was it like 1.38? I think so. But their planet's density is slightly less than ours. They contain a little bit less iron in their planet's core. Again, proportionally anyway. Their planet's average density is slightly less than ours. But it's mostly just because their planet's core is about the same size as ours, but for a bigger planet. That's basically just what it is. That's how I decided to mod Earth to make their world. So their world history is kind of, again, a modified version of ours because I wanted to play around with some stuff with geopolitics and such, but also to try and play with some stuff with language. I also have basically thought, so what if I modify what sounds are common to their world? And that's really gotten me into a weird rabbit hole. What is common in our world? Why is it common in our world as opposed, and like, why would it be common in that world as well? So, I get into some weird waters with some people arguing like, this is common only by happenstance, or because, theoretically, Proto-World had this, and thus all languages tend to keep it because it's a really common feature. And yet, like, some languages don't have this sound. Like, no sound is completely universal, but there are a number of sounds that are very common or have some sort of equivalent that is so prevalent that it just becomes inescapable, if that makes sense. Like, nasal sounds, you will always have some kind of nasal or two in a language. Like, the sound m, or that is like the most common sound cross-linguistically, and I decided I'll keep that the same in my Auxlang, in my Conlang. But I'm playing around with, like, what vowels are common. I played around a little bit with, like, what other sounds would be considered common, and I decided, alright, let's say that most languages also have at least one liquid sound. Now, that is not a guarantee. There are a decent number of languages in our world that don't have liquids, and also that don't define liquids and rhotics within the same realm. They're kind of iffy on being on the same realm in our world, but for all intents and purposes, I've decided, okay, let's say that liquids and rhotics are more or less considered the same grade of sound in that world. So let's throw in a liquid, a l sound. It's common enough in our world that it can kind of be justified, and you can at least approximate it with various rhotic sounds as well, or have some other kind of liquid sound like the Welsh. I think, no, that's not how they say it. I'm bad with other languages. I'm bad at pronouncing sounds that I don't normally have in English. And why the fuck is this taking so long? I'm sorry. I'm bad at sounds that aren't in English. So, yeah. Except for, I manage trills, and a uvular trill, a little bit. I can't do it very well when it's not on its own. So like, when I was trying to learn French, I actually got pretty decent at using it though. I'm iffy now. I'm rusty. But anyways, in terms of like playing around with vowel space, instead of I made I more common, even though I and E are more commonly associated instead of and I in our world. If that just flew over your head, that's totally fine, by the way. Yeah, why is this frozen? It's not responding either. Alright. What's the Forge log looking like right now? I'm gonna open the folder. Come on. Logs. This one's from 7:57. Is that when I started loading this up? 16 fucking minutes ago? Server thread. Has this been going on for 10 minutes? Apparently. Some stuff was weird and still is weird. Stuff on here, it says, I don't know if these are a problem or not. Server thread /info. Bunch of garbage. Look, is false. Local blah. Lost connection, internal exception. Java util current modification exception. I don't know if that's exactly a problem or if that's just how it is. Sound control, sound processor, warn. This was half a minute later, 30 seconds later exactly. Well, I don't know if it counts for tick or whatever. Anyways, 30 seconds later, just about. Sound control, sound processor is lagging behind 266 milliseconds. That's weird. So, yeah. Let's hope I don't accidentally corrupt the world by doing that. Please wait. The only thing different is that I added world edit. Alright, mod development testing in action. Let's try turning off world edit. Is world edit just unstable with the mod list that I have? It could be. This stuff happens sometimes, but I've increasingly found that world edit is not playing nice with other mods. So let's wait and see. Anyways, so like back on note of my conlang, because I'm just trying to fill time at this point. Like again, I'm playing around with like song or poppability of sounds for the sake of making the interlang, because when you make a international language, and I mean make a language, you usually want to do a few things. You want to make it so that the linguistic features are common enough or easily enough learned that everyone can use them. And everyone can use them more or less the same. You want to make sure that the sounds are as pronounceable equally for everyone as possible. You want to make sure that you have enough words in your language that everyone can use them. So you tend to, for the sake of making it easy on the most people, the way that words tend to be built in a lot of languages, I know this kind of gets into some weird debated territory, but there are technically 3 categories of languages. They don't technically work well as wholesale categories, or like even a cycle, as some people have suggested in the past and tried to argue for. But you have fusional, agglutinative, and synthetic, or polysynthetic. No. Fusional, polysynthetic, and analytic. That's what it is. Okay, so English would be considered polysynthetic. We build words out of pieces and parts. So take that as a basis, okay? A agglutinative language is like the Eskimo languages. You know how they say that they have like 400 words for snow? Well, that's technically a half-truth because of the fact that you can build technically infinite numbers of words for things like snow, out of the fact that the way that they build words is basically by compounding. You can make whole sentences one word. Effectively. You can add suffixes and modifiers and just glue things together, hence agglutinative. And when you do that, you get increasingly complex words, and word parts that just blur together, basically. English is in between that and the other kind of major language, hence why it's considered polysynthetic. You just merge a handful of pieces together to create morphology. That's what it's called. By the way, when you glue word parts together, it's called morphology. English doesn't allow you to glue like separate independent necessary words. Like you can't glue together a subject or to a verb, or a verb to an object, or a subject to an object, generally speaking. But you can do that in a agglutinative language. The complete opposite of an agglutinative language is called an analytical language. Analytical languages are recommended for word building in in conlangs for auxiliary languages, international auxiliary languages, because they can have really, really small word inventories. Think of Chinese. You have thousands upon thousands of symbols, but day to day, you may run into a very common 1,000. Or even just 500. Now consider the fact that in English, we also have a very, very limited scope of words that we use. That word count of unique words that you use in a day, minus tenses, is 500 to 1,000. Excuse me. For the average person, it's 500 to 1,000 to 2,000. That's not a lot, actually. So when you have a really simple word inventory, you can get an analytical language where you build out words with like independent words that are just wholesale, that don't merge together with interesting plays on things like stress or oh, well, it looks like it's working now that I removed or disabled world edit, so hooray. Well, it's not responding. We'll see. Anyways, with analytical languages, do keep in mind this is very broad and semi-inaccurate. Analytical languages tend to build word phrases to create one meaning. So like a bookstore. Well, in English we say bookstore as a compound word. Well, actually no. A better word for that, library. Library is one word, but really it means book borrowing place. Well, you could say book borrowing place. And there you go. You have, I believe, more or less the phrase of words you use in Chinese, in Mandarin anyway. Again, analytical languages, meaning can be a lot of things. So long as you are making sense, you can do like a whole ass variety of words strung together with different emphases to create the same meaning. So you can really put together some interesting, like, intentional or intrinsic stuff with analytical language. And that's what I'm playing with my international auxiliary language. Like, grammar, you tend to go with simpler grammar. So, like, I have word particles instead of morphology. Like, you have the same verb all the time. You just add a little, like, a particle word, a little word that precedes it. It doesn't glue on. It's just a separate word. So yeah, they are still effectively prefix, but they're treated as a separate word just for the sake of being able to move around easily and never have to be varied. As well, you can theoretically use them in different contexts, like the word for the past tense. You can use that to reference in the past. You can use that at the start of a sentence to emphasize that you were saying in the past, comma, in English. But, what is my past word? What? Or wa? Okay, hold on. Con workshop. Let's see. Let me in. You've been logged in successfully. Well, thank you. Dictionary. dictionary. Just the whole dictionary. Search the whole thing. I also have evidentiality, which plays into the fact that there's a little bit of story as well that goes into this conlang. I don't want to go too far into it, but basically, the language was made by a government council, which should immediately be some red flags. There was a little bit of sabotage, but also a lot of putzing about with a couple versions, and the final version that they went for went through a couple changes. That means that there are some quote-unquote canon words that are already existing contractions of like word parts, but they don't really well, for the most part, they don't really do too much of like splitting out this actual pieces. It is more so about making bigger words like tree and fruit sound similar and have similar construction. Did I not actually have a fucking way of... blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Particle past marker. Oh yes, this one is Tithi. Yes, resubmit the form because it's a search. So yeah, it's considered a particle. All right. It's been a while since I've actually worked on this thing. If you really want to look at it, it's Unim on Con Workshop UNIM. Go nuts. Alright. Well, I don't have world edit, so, ugh. This is gonna be a pain in the ass. Well, in that case, I'm actually gonna quick change it to peaceful and accelerate the time a little bit. Time add 7,000. Alright. Change the map type to round again because, yeah. So, I'm thinking I want to play around a little bit with stuff on the islands, but I need to have, like, the main core of the city on this landmass, just so that I have, like, a solid foundation, so to speak, and also so that I don't lose too much landmass. I've run into the problem before where I have, well, I have run out of space and I want to be able to utilize like the Macaw's bridges and stuff to get to the other land masses and landforms. But again, I've run into the problem where I didn't have enough space in the past. So, yeah, let's not do that, please. Yeah. Alright. I'll leave the Creative World Shaper in my inventory. I'm gonna do that off camera because it's gonna take so fucking long if I can't use World Edit. Oh, it's a pain. It's so sad. Oh, I hate it. Anyways. Alright, so, what I need to do is start with the town hall. Since I'm in creative mode, I can just start with the town hall. That's library, town hall. And at, oh, come on, at Structurize, because Structurize has actually quite a lot of useful and interesting stuff. Scan tool, tag tool, calipers, build tool, shape tool, shape tool. What does the shape tool do? Oh. Interesting. Whoa! Ooh. Diamond, pyramid, sit-down pyramid, cylinder, random. Okay, neat. But that's also like relatively slow. That is not like World Edit or even that World Shaper. So yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so many block types and subtypes. Holy shite! Look at all these. Like all the wood types, all of the timber frames and timber combinations, because you have all the wood types together. And terracotta and bricks, and then you have all of the shingle types. That's one of the reasons why I add macaw's roofs, just in case you don't like these shingles. Not all the colors I personally like, so I realize some people might want to have something else. And I also realize that not all of them like look right on their specific builds, or you might just want variety, in which case again macaw's roofs, totally go for that. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at Minecolonies because Structurize itself is not what I'm going after right now. Right, so Town Hall. The style I am going for is Caledonia, and this is its ground level, right? The world town center I want to have is like as close to the edge as possible so that it can include a lot of the islands, but also I need to have a lot of the land over here, so maybe not that close to the edge. Is this gonna include all of the big islands? I think so. The town hall radius is like relatively big. I'm actually thinking, I'm gonna quick fill this in. because they complain about having solid ground if you don't have blocks beneath the entire thing. Just lovely and irritating as fuck. You know. Again, I need to do some terraforming, but oh boy, fire truck. Alright, so it looks like this at level 1. You can toggle through to see what it looks like at its next levels. So it looks to build itself out, and then it like really does itself in with details. It looks like this at level 3. Really nice and looking good already. And then level 4. Ooh. And level 5, which is what really sold me. Like, look at this. Look at this. Who doesn't want this? Well, I can imagine several people don't want this, but I personally want this. I love it. And this is going to be what's at my town center. So oh, I just realized it shows, okay, it shows like what direction it is facing. All right, so I want it to face that way. Yeah, this is good. So you want to check when you do structures how big they are. Now, normally they're the box that they are, you know, shaped for will always have their final size in mind. Like, town halls specifically always tend to have this sort of border around them because they just usually fill up a complete full space, and you want to give them space. So, town hall, and now my colony has officially started. So I need to officially create the colony. Word is out about a newly founded colony. Soon the first settlers will join your colony if there is enough space around the town hall. Experienced governors can turn off these helpful messages in the town hall block. I'm going to leave them on just for the sake of tutorial and also testing. You know, good stuff like that. So, build options. Right, I can't do that yet because I don't have a builder yet. Right. So my first settler is Renee T. Ashtonhurst, and your skills are definitely lacking. It always seems to be that way. You usually tend to get like at least one person who has really low rolls on all of their skills, and then like a number of people who have like slightly better skills. So once you start your colony, you can actually start doing build requests, but right now I don't have a builder, and I don't want to put in a build request because I want to have at least one mine colonist who has good stats. Now, it's important to always make sure that when you set up building, and also I generally recommend it, do settings, worker hiring mode, manual. Set it to manual. But housing can be automatic if you really want it to be. Workers are complaining about a long walk to their work. You can manually assign them to the closest houses if the option is turned on in the town hall settings. Fair enough. That's Renee. It's all Renee. Renee. I need to see Shiloh. All right, Shiloh v. Revelry. You have some athletics and agility and stamina and mana and a little bit higher knowledge even. I do believe for the builder you need some dexterity. So yeah, I'm going to quick grab a bed. I know I'm in creative mode and can just accelerate the time, but let's be reasonable here. Let's do it with a bed. That way we don't accidentally fuck things, you know. All right. So let's grab a builder's hut. All right, Russell, I bammered. Athletics and stuff. Oh, you can. When I'm in creative mode, I can just do this. Uh-huh. I did not know I could do that. Alright. Builder's hut. Okay, build tool. Builder, Caledonia, level 1, very basic. Level 5 is a little bit more extravagant, but it's still rather small. I personally really like it. Let's actually, ooh, the builder could be a really scenic build if only I were to terraform this properly. Let's do this. The last initial citizen arrived in your colony. Okay, so you get 4 citizens by default when you do Minecolonies. I think that's something you can edit in the config, but I'm gonna leave it as 4 because it's a pretty good starting point. You don't want to have too many citizens. It starts to run astray rather quickly if you do anything too much higher than that. Just saying. I can fix up the specific cliffs. All right. Ja, Landinga, ding ding ding, Minecolonka, Koima. I'm doing probably too much terraforming for this, but Does this feel like a good placement for it? Or do I want to like move it around and rotate it a little bit more? Actually, I think I am gonna have this be like this, because I think this just looks like the coolest. Alright, so when you have buildings this close to each other, they tend to render in so that you can see their borders. Yeah, it's a really nice Minecolonies feature. So, alright. Level 1, because that's all we can do right now. Construct. Understood. That just is a GUI going over the thing. So what you want to do, manage workers. Let's see who has the highest in the green and yellow. Preferably, mostly the green. The yellow is also somewhat important. So, 4, 3, 4, 3, 3, 5. I mean, it's either Shiloh or Beatrice or Russell. Actually, everyone but Renee is the contender. Oh, joy. So the adaptability is definitely something you want to be able to use, but athletics also increases their speed. So I'm going to go with Shiloh. Build options. Builder, Shiloh. You don't need to set this. It'll automatically do it if you don't set a builder. This will just give you all the materials. Build building. The builder begins. All right, and then required resources will calculate itself once the builder gets over here. We're gonna need some dirt, so yeah, that's gonna be one of the first things on here. I've started work on Builder 1. Hooray! Alright, and then what is it that you need? You need a pickaxe. More details, please. Fulfill. Because I'm in creative mode, I can just say fulfill, and then it'll give the highest possible tier. It would have been wood or gold. It decided to give gold. So yeah. Shiloh has to first clear out the stone that has to be filled in. So just a little bit of stuff. And then the rest of the stuff, the required resources, I can just click the plus because creative mode. Yeah. Minimum stock, limit reached. Inventory, this is what it looks like. Just want to make sure that it doesn't have too much stuff in it. Shiloh himself will have an inventory of just stuff and whatever needs to be oh yeah, gold really doesn't go far. More details please. Fulfill. Oh, okay. What was I thinking? Yeah, whatever is needed, or found to be needed, will be varied based on like the builder doing like a preliminary sort of quote unquote search or scan or check of like what's there. So like let's say that there needs to be a ground of dirt or grass. Dirt and grass will equate themselves basically. it will just fill in automatically what needs to be there. And the builder will just account for it being there or not. And that isn't scanned for until the builder goes to check out the place. Now, in some areas, it doesn't really matter what's there because it's being built on top of. So the block can be literally anything, or it's intended to be stone in this case, I believe. So, stone gets left behind. And it's being used for, like, path blocks, I think. Yeah, it's fun stuff. Alright, now the next block that needs to be done is the tavern, I believe? Yes, here we go. This is what I was just placing when I was doing this earlier. So, aw, damn. I thought this town border went further. I'm only gonna get into the first row of islands. Ah, drat. Okay. That's sad. My town border. Alright. So once you make your mine colony, its border is set. Unless you want to expand it, which I might in the config. We'll see if that breaks anything. Now, of course, this is just a test world, but I do want to actually make it work. However, in the case of things breaking, I'm in creative mode. I won't actually be losing shit. So that's, well, not losing things I worked hard for, really. That's why I'm in creative mode, because I don't have to care about it. I don't feel too precious about it. I feel precious about my idea, but I can always redo it. In fact, this is incentive to redo it. So if I get an excuse to, maybe I fucking will. We'll see. No, well, I do want to try and see it through to some sort of conclusion anyway. But in the meantime, the next thing I should be putting down is the tavern. The Caledonia style is what I'm going for, so everything will be in this style. Primarily this style, or like medieval oak alternative, I think, is also something that theoretically would work pretty decently with this. Oak or birch. Oh. Now it kind of depends on like what build it is. So again, we'll have to see. But Caledonia works well with, I think, a lot of the medieval wood varieties. So, this tavern will be the tavern on the water. It'll be overlooking things. I'm almost wondering if I make it so that it goes down on this little area. All right, tavern.
She's not even like 3D.
Do I want it to be there now that I think about it? Or should I try and make that for something smaller? Maybe I do that for something smaller. This ledge also doesn't look quite big enough.
Oh my god, she's not even 3D. She's not even fucking real.
Yo, it's your boy. How y'all doing out there?
There we go. One block. Alright, I think that's actually a pretty perfect place. And, build options. Builder. Build building. Oh. Oh, I need to wait for the builder's hut to be done. Right. Right. I do believe technically you can have it set up. You were placing a brand new building. The final version will be just what's like previewed, but it'll automatically still go to the first one you can build because you have to go through the versions. A little irritatingly, but you have to go through the versions as the builder is able to do them. So I think by the time the builder is up to like level 3, you are able to start a build and build all the way at level 3 to begin with, I think. Since I don't have a level, I have a level 0 builder, i.e. builder can only do the builder's hut right now. I can't put in build requests yet. So, yeah. Fun stuff! Hooray! This song specifically reminds me of IGP, indie game player. I think he's still just called IGP, but I don't watch his stuff anymore. I think he went over to just like playing horror games for a long time and I just got bored. Well, like, I guess bored is the wrong word and more like scared off. But, uninterested, disinterested. That's the better turn of word. Like, that's just kind of how it went with me. Anyways, the torches are always the last thing, so Shiloh's should be just about done. The stream's just about over as well, so we'll see. Yay! To turn our attention to resource production. Perhaps you should get a forester or miner and a tavern to house your citizens. Well, the tavern is next. Build a building. Alright, and something next that you really want to tend to get would be a resource scroll or a clipboard. Now, I forget what each does. Now, resource scrolls are specific to the builder. The clipboard, I believe, is requests for the entire colony. So, yeah. Clipboard is colony-wide. Resource scroll is for a specific denizen's workstation. Like, not even just the denizen, I guess. Well, actually, it seems to be tied to the denizen. So. Oh, you can only do Oh, right, because it's full. So there's only 2 beds. Oh, and you need more details, please. Fulfill. Inventory. Sandstone axe. Interesting. You are still complaining. Why are you still complaining? Please make stuff in my chest/racks. I am not able to dump my inventory. This has to do for now. Right, I gave him everything, without giving him the space to get rid of seeds. Fulfill the shovel. Oh. What do you need, Shiloh? Or is Shiloh just getting more stuff out of the inventory? Or was he trying to drop stuff off? I don't know. Huh? So I often build 2 builders huts. I'm wondering whether or not I should do that for this town. As well, having 2 builders out of my first 4 denizens, that's a lot, and I know I need to have a farmer and a baker. And I should have a restaurant worker. Because I don't want to keep supplying them with bread constantly. Although I think, well, they need to have their own houses first. So yeah, I need to basically, I need to make some notes. Actually, do I or do I not have that note-taking? I thought I had that note-taking mod. Maybe I don't? I guess not. No, I'm thinking of the wrong mod. No. Also, that's in the 117 pack. The bad one. The one I wish to burn. Yeah, anyways. I'll have to figure out what's what with my denizens and their food situation in the next stream in this mod pack. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more streams from me. As well as just like more information on development streams and stuff. Hit the notification bell for notifications as to when I go live. I go live on most, if not all, Sundays. Most. From 6 to 9 US Central Time, approximately. Sometimes I start late, sometimes I finish late. I don't tend to start early for Sunday streams, but I sometimes start early for Thursday streams, which usually go from 7 to 9 US Central Time. But those also can sometimes start late. It's a thing. Again, times are variable. I am in the US Central Time Zone, so that's just how that lines up. I can't just say a Central or like CST, and then people will be expected to understand that. Like, what Central Time Zone? Like, well, maybe CST is specifically my Central Time Zone, but I have to specify like US Central Time so that people understand what I'm talking about. Anyways, yeah, that should just about do that. Yeah. I'm forgetting if there's something else that I'm needing to say, but I feel like there is something, but I'm forgetting. Oh, whatever. Like, comment, subscribe, call to action, ring the bell. Oh, gosh. That should do it. Thank you so much for watching. Last time. This has been Guy, your non-binary Smith, and I'm signing off. Until next time, take care. I'll see you guys. Bye. I was gonna make something funnier, but then I just went along with the same thing that I've been saying multiple times for like podcast intro takes, and then like just fun things that I recorded that I don't think will go Guy or goggle wearing Smith. Yeah, I know Beatrice. Goodbye, everybody.